I can't remember how to YouTube. How do you film and do the stuff? I can't remember how to YouTube. Don't take an Easter break because you'll screw it up. Ah! Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam Scott-Thorne and I am a vocal coach based in Glasgow. Now if you'd like to meet and explore your voice a little more, you can find me on sstvocals.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and Patreon, and I'll put the handles down below and over there, yeah, over there, slow vibrato, over there. I ran out of air. So if you'd like to consider becoming a patron, you have access to things like early release of reactions, you can fast track reactions, become a reaction, there's special roles on my Discord server, and you have access to Vocal Anatomy 101 videos exclusive to Patreon, so consider becoming a patron and help shape my channel. Just like Cody did! Cody has fast-tracked this next reaction. He wants to hear a little bit more of V from BTS, and we're going to listen to Singularity. I've not heard this before. We're going for a live version. Let's just get it done! Okay, now I have seen a lot of things in my time, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone flirt with themselves through the medium of an empty jacket. I was very seductive. I mean, you heard the crowd. There's a real I've only heard one other V song, but of the two V songs I've heard, there's this real kind of jazz bar element to the sound. Like, it's all very smooth and smoky and kind of seductive. And I think his voice really suits that. So this start here is super gentle. It's very much like a pillow talk kind of style. It's like he's whispering to you and you're like this close to him. There's almost little to no effort. It's like it's just seeping out of him. What a beautiful sound and a great, nice, gentle start. Okay, so I mean, this looks like he's dancing to a different song. It's really fast movements to a really very slow song, which is cool, but it's making my brain go a little bit like, what? It's too early for this. So again, we've got this kind of whispery tone. It's aspirate, which means there's more air coming through the folds. And if you're wanting to get into this kind of place, first of all, start at a very, very, very quiet, speechy place. Not quite as much a whisper, because a whisper is pushing nothing but air. And as you can hear, you don't get any tone out of that. So you want to get speechy, quieten down even more. Imagine you're like in a library or something. And then you just kind of want to extend the note and drop the larynx a touch. And you'll just be able to get that kind of push through, a very, very light touch. Like, less is absolutely more in this scenario. You can hear there's a little bit more kind of push from what I'd say an anchored place. So he's using those muscle grips to kind of support the larynx, and that's giving it a bit more push. For example, I'll go from no anchors to anchors on that sound and see if you can hear the difference. You get a slight push on it, yeah? I hope that kind of came through the mic, but that's what's happening. Anyway, let's keep going. This is super interesting because although he's getting into a bigger sound, he's not belting, and it's almost like he's holding it back. He's really getting that, like it's kind of just tilting over. The way that I would describe this is like, imagine that you're like running for something and someone goes, no, wait, and you have to kind of go, huh, and stop yourself. That's kind of what he's doing vocally. It's like that, but really, really well mixed out. It's a really, I'm going to sound really weird doing this because I'd need to listen to it some more to kind of really tune in on what he's doing. But that's the kind of feeling that it's given me, that it's kind of pushed and then he's sucking it right to nothing really, really quickly. And then he's blending that into that kind of really aspirate, kind of pillow talky whispered sound. So he's getting loads and loads of shades out of his voice, but it's still completely muted. It's very, very relaxed and very, very understated. It's great. Okay, so this is the thing that I can notice the most about V, is that he'll sing something that's a relatively high note, but he'll drop his larynx and make it super airy. So you get this kind of pull off it. That little note there is super indicative of what V sounds like in my eyes. So if you took that note for what it is, is the actual structure of that little riff there. But when you pull the larynx down on that sound, you start mixing that down and it gets super, super smoky and super, super dark and rich and textured. It's really nice. So if you're wanting to practice that V kind of sound, pick a note that's not too out of your comfort zone range-wise, for example, and then just drop your larynx on it. You'll get a little bit of that tone coming through. There's a little bit of that push coming through again. So he's mixing that breathy sound into like a more forward placed, kind of more connection from the vocal folds and just a little bit more of an anchored sound. So all of those little kind of combinations together have blended really beautifully from this airy kind of tone to this almost nasalized kind of thicker sound. Again, something you just need to practice. Take one tone and the other and slowly blend out as you go. It's where you want to be. It's where you're going to start. Again, something to just play about with. Starting to get a little bit more into the oral twang kind of place. That's your epiglottis. In there. He's really pushing that low larynx sound though as well. So you get this kind of thick turning sound. It's really, really nice. So each time this chorus comes along, he thickens up a little bit more each time. So this time's the thickest he's gotten. There's only slight moments where he'll drop into that airy sound. There was a bit where he said a cha, and it really came through airy there. And then there was another couple of wee bits. But other than that, it was pretty much da da ba da 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 ba da 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 boo da da do. It kind of carried that thickness. Whereas the first time, if you go back to listen to the first chorus, he's mixing that airy sound just as much as the thicker sound. Second time, a little bit thicker, still got quite a lot of airy stuff through it. This time, it's pretty much fully thick, fold, pushed sound and just tiny little bits of aspirate tone in there. And that just goes to show that you can be dynamic with your choruses. You don't have to have everything sounding the same every single time. There's that kind of natural progressive build to make it become more intense, even though the song is stayed pretty much on that smooth like butter kind of feeling. You can still make choices that kind of push that song along. So I could have stopped at like 2 seconds later, but there we are. There are so many different things to V's voice that I think I could study him all day and find something new every single time. He just has a really, really unique setup to the way that he sings. Where he naturally wants to go is where I think a lot of people would find very unusual to feel as you sing. Also, the crowds at these shows are so funny. The stuff that they go absolutely insane over is just amazing to me. Like, they put a mask in front of his face and they just lost it. From the shoulders to the knees to putting a mask on to putting your arm through a suit jacket, they just eat them up, understandably. And a massive thanks to Cody for that suggestion. We're still going on that BTS journey and he is just pushing it along. So hope you liked that reaction. If you did, please give it a like and a thumbs up down below. And if you want to see more from me, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and anytime I have new content, you will be the first to know. So I guess all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for joining me. And how are we going to buy this one? So I guess all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for joining me and thank you so much for watching this video, but please won't you hit that like and subscribe. I have no idea if that was the melody. I think it was, ish, give or take about 12 notes. Anyway, bye.